silence.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our regular public council meeting for January 23rd in the town of Torbay. I call our meeting to order. New business, Councilor Tepper.
Pass.
Councilor Manning.
Pass.
Pollard.
Pass.
Councilor Appleby.
Thank you and congratulations.
Deputy Mayor.
Congratulations.
Okay, and I got a couple of congrats, and I also, I'm gonna add a presentation after the Air Cadets. Mayor Bravo, presentation, We Believe sign. Okay, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So moved.
Moved, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. Now, we got a set of public council minutes for January 9th, 2023. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. There's no conflict of interest sheet out there tonight.
Could I just point one out?
Yeah.
There's a motion coming forward for the history, heritage, and culture
Okay,
that I'd like to step away from.
all right. So
Could be
whenever it comes up-
perceived. Yeah,
When it goes up, we'll deal with that.
yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, proclamation, Bell Let's Talk Day. Deputy Mayor.
Bill, Let's Talk Day 2023, whereas January 25th, 2023 marks the 13th annual Bill Let's Talk Day, a day of conversation, support, and positive change for mental health. And whereas the Mental Health Initiative focuses on 4 key action pillars: fighting the stigma, improving access to care, supporting world-class research, and leading by example in workplace mental health. And whereas the town of Torbay supports positive mental health for everyone in the community and seeks to improve the lives of all citizens who will experience a mental health illness or mental health issue in their lifetime, and those who are struggling with their mental health. Whereas the town of Torbay recognizes that mental health, or that people are experiencing challenges that may affect their mental health. Now more than ever, the need for conversation, awareness, and action around mental health matters, and every action counts. Whereas the town of Torbay will raise a flag to celebrate Bell Let's Talk Day and encourage all citizens of Torbay to join the conversation and help create positive change.
Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Craig Scott, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, January 25th, 2023 as Bell Let's Talk Day in the town of Torbay and encourage support of this campaign. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
I'd like to
Go
add
ahead.
something in there. I guess when we talk about, it's not I guess, I know when we talk about mental health these days, it's a big thing. And people, I guess, are reluctant to come forward when they're really in it. And as most people know, I just want to put it out there, that this past year has been very challenging for me. And I personally had to go and speak and to get some professional advice with regards to mental health. So when it says about, your face and people wearing the mask and what have you, that's in real life. So I encourage anybody that's listening on for all individuals, if there is, or if you think you're struggling with mental health, don't ever hesitate to reach out and ask for help.
Good. Anyone else?
I'll go. Thanks for sharing that, Deputy Mayor. That's courageous, and it's something that not everybody is comfortable doing. And I think that this is a conversation that's very important and very necessary. And, you know, mental health used to be a stigma of, you know, disease and something wrong with you. That's not the case. I could be in any moment having an issue where life seems heavy, consequences are such that you're stressed out, you need to take a break, you need to look for those coping skills and mechanisms to figure out, how do I handle what's happening around me. It can be periodic, it can be over time, it can be a medical condition, it can be a number of things. So I think it's really important that we share that mental health is just as important as physical health. People think, well, you've broken your leg, you can't do this. Well, if you're, you know, suffering from mental health stress or any implication of that, it can also be very debilitating. So I think that it's really important that we as a town lead in this capacity, that we make sure that it's known that this is a conversation that's welcome in our community, and that we all stand united in support of Bell Let's Talk and the work that's being done around it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to add that the Wellness Committee will be hosting holding a employee wellness initiative on Wednesday afternoon at the Torbay Common for staff to come out and participate in some activities, and we'll have some refreshments on hand and hopefully promote the discussion around mental health and the importance of it in today's workplace. So I just want to add that as well.
Excellent. Thank you. So, and I'll share, similar to Mary, over the last number of years, I've had to go and get help too with my mental health, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. That's the whole point of these proclamations and what Bell is doing. And I'm going to be here at 8 o'clock Wednesday morning to put up the flag, and myself and Don, if anybody wants to come over and join us, then you're welcome to. Anybody in the town, if you want to come and help us put the flag up, you're welcome to it. Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next, Violence Prevention Month. Councilor Manning.
Proclamation, Violence Prevention Month 2023. Whereas the Violence Prevention Initiative of the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador reflects government's commitment to addressing the problem of violence in this province, and is based on a vision that people of our province will live in safe, caring communities where there is an inherent respect for each other and violence of any sort is unacceptable. Whereas the solution to eradicating violence against those most at risk in our society, women, children, and youth, Aboriginal women and children, persons with disabilities, older persons, and others who are victims of violence because of ethnicity, sexual orientation, or economic status, is through a collaborative effort between the provincial government and the community to improve services and to educate all residents of our province about violence prevention. Whereas the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, with its community partners and stakeholders, have been working to improve services to victims of violence and violence prevention programs for many years. Whereas Violence Prevention Month is the perfect opportunity to contribute to the fight against violence and abuse in the province. The Government of Newfoundland and Labrador have made a commitment to partner with the community to seek long-term solutions to violence.
Therefore, I'm pleased to proclaim the month of February 2023 to be Violence Prevention Month. I encourage all residents of the town of Torbay to recognize that violence prevention is everyone's responsibility, and to support violence prevention activities and events so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Yeah, Mayor, if I could. Thank you. This one's close to my heart, and in any and all forms, violence is wrong, period. I feel very strongly that we should have a violence-free community society, and people shouldn't have to live in fear. We do an awful lot of work at the M&L table, at the FCM table around gender-based violence, making sure there's an equal space for all in our communities. I know the St. John's Women's Centre have also put together a great training called Empowering Men and I would encourage anybody who's interested to take that. It's a really interesting course because it talks about what is violence and all the different facets of violence that people might not even realize they're experiencing violence in a situation. Violence is not always, it's like mental health discussion we just had. It's not always what you think it might be. There's very many ways that violence can be perpetrated against people, and it's not gender-based. It can be, ethnicity. It can be any number of things. So I think this is another one of those great examples of leadership in our community where we make sure that people know there's no space for that here in our town. And I'm very glad that we're adopting this proclamation here tonight. Thanks.
Anyone else? I just want to point out that throughout this proclamation, there's a common theme here, and the word is community, 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 community. And I think that as the level of government that's closest to the people in the community, that's important for us to point these out and to have these proclamations and to have programs to make people aware and to have a place where people can reach out if they're having issues. So it's very good. All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Eating Disorder Awareness Week. Councillor Tepper.
Proclamation, Eating Disorders Awareness Week, February 1st to the 7th, 2023. Whereas an eating disorder is a serious mental illness with often devastating physical implications, whereas eating disorders affect many individuals and families in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, whereas recovery from an eating disorder is a journey that includes support from families and caregivers, whereas the Eating Disorder Foundation of Newfoundland and Labrador is a leading advocacy group dedicated to promoting support, treatment services, and providing public support services and information about matters related to eating disorders throughout the province. Whereas February 1st to the 7th, 2023 is dedicated across Newfoundland and Labrador and the entire country as a special time when many educational and awareness activities take place to help raise the level of understanding of eating disorder prevention, treatment, and recovery. Whereas the theme for Eating Disorders Awareness Week is 2023 is transforming the narrative from asks to action.
Therefore, I, Craig Scott, Mayor of the Town of Torbay, do hereby proclaim February 1st to the 7th, 2023 to be observed as Eating Disorder Awareness Week in the Town of Torbay. So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Paul Toomey is here from the Eating Disorder Foundation. Paul, did you want to have a few words?
Sure. Never lost for words. Thank you, Mayor, councillors, and thank you for agreeing to, as you have done for many, many years now, to declare the proclamation Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and I look forward to February the 1st, you and I raising the flag.
8 o'clock, I'll be.
8 o'clock, I'll be here, guaranteed.
Just let you know.
It's timely that we should be talking about Eating Disorder Awareness Week when you've just talked about Bell Let's Talk Day, because eating disorders are a very serious mental illness, and the foundation does everything that it can to support individuals and families, and there are plenty out there, and I can tell you this town is no exception. I know that from my own experience. We're also a very big supporter of Bell Let's Talk Day, so really Eating Disorder Awareness Week will start for us on the 25th, because we will start our social media posts, we will start our activities related to eating disorders early this week, because it is a major mental illness. It has the highest mortality rate of mental illnesses in the country, with the exception of opioids. So it is a serious illness. It's a long journey to recovery, and recovery requires the support of families. And the big role that we play is to make sure that families are properly educated to be able to support their loved ones through this journey. So thank you, Mayor and councillors, for reading and approving our proclamation this evening.
Okay. I'll jump up now and get a picture.
You're going this way, okay.
Get there. Down.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. You'll send that.
Next. Now, World Wetlands Day Proclamation 2023.
Need to vote.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, all in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Got ahead of myself there. Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. World Wetlands Day Proclamation, February 2nd, 2023. Whereas World Wetlands Day is celebrated each year on February 2nd to highlight the value of wetland ecosystems. This day also marks the anniversary of the Convention on Wetlands, which was adopted as an intergovernmental treaty in 1971. And wetlands are critically important ecosystems that sustain biodiversity, filter our water supply and provide water, protect us from storms and floods, and store carbon. By recognizing World Wetlands Day, we aim to increase public awareness about how much wetlands do for our community and to encourage actions to protect, conserve, and restore them. World Wetlands Day is for everyone to recognize, as these ecosystems are important to us all. And the theme for World Wetlands Day 2023 is wetland restoration, which highlights the need to prioritize wetland restoration, conservation, and to revive and restore degraded wetlands. And the town of Torbay and the government of Newfoundland and Labrador signed a municipal habitat stewardship agreement in 1997, committing to the conservation and enhancement of important wetland habitat, Goss's Pond, Upper Three Corner Pond, the Gully, Jones Pond, Western Island Pond, and the shoreline. The town of Torbay maintains this agreement and continues to be supporters of municipal habitat stewardship in our community.
Therefore, I, Mayor Craig Scott, do hereby proclaim February 2nd, 2023 as World Wetlands Day in the town of Torbay. So I move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
I will, Mayor, if I can. This one, again, is really important to me. Some of those wetlands that are in this proclamation are actually internationally protected wetlands. And there's actually an agreement for Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada, United States, and Mexico that protects one of the wetlands that's right across the road from your and my home. That wetland we've looked at and been provided with information that talks about the importance around flooding, water retention, clarifying water all the way down to flat rock. So I think it's really important. It's really great to see us, talking about this, making sure that we are protecting wetlands in our community and that we're looking at the biodiversity, the flora, the fauna, the species. There's so many things that go with protecting and looking after the wetlands in our communities to make sure that we have healthy communities, and sometimes it gets overlooked, but it's actually a critical part of our ecosystem. So thank you for this today. I think it's really important.
Thank you. Another comment before I get Zach up? Zach, right? Zach Burrows from Sam.
So yeah, thank you everyone for inviting myself. I'm Zach Burrows, Executive Director of the Stewardship Association of Municipalities. We've got a long history with the town of Torbay. Have a great relationship with Julia and Jason at town staff. We appreciate them. They certainly get it and understand how we can support the town of Torbay. Councillor Tapper was, I believe, the treasurer at one point. Former Councillor Jeff Gallant was SAM president, so lots of history here, and we appreciate that support. World Wetlands Day, that's what we're here to talk about, and their importance in our community. They do a lot for us. They, like I said like was said in the proclamation, they reserve water during times of flood, and then during times of drought, they release it. They filter that water. They are important in having high biodiversity for the wildlife here. We use them as recreational areas. We go boating, we go kayaking, fishing, what have you. We go swimming. We use those wetlands all the time. It may be the winter and we don't really see those wetlands and their importance, but I mean, thinking about the future and what's coming up this summer, they are important. So World Wetlands Day, I appreciate, and thanks for the proclamation. Like I said, the town has done a lot over the history. 1997, identified some areas to conserve, and then 2015, expanded on that, 6 areas that are conserved. They do a lot for our community. I wanted to thank you for that. And how does SAM continue to support that? We went to, last year, we've done a lot over the years. Last year we went to Holy Trinity High School. We worked with the wood shop there, building nest boxes. And then we got the school groups out to install those nest boxes at Western Island Pond. SAM designed an interpretive panels that was installed at Western Island Pond, bringing the community out, bringing that awareness to the area. We've done engagements with the school. We've done tree plantings in the gully. Lots of engagement. So we appreciate the support and look forward to continued support and in wetland stewardship.
Julie?
Thank you.
And I have some news hot off the press. About a year ago, we issued a letter of support of partnership with Ducks Unlimited, and just about an hour ago, I received an email that Ducks Unlimited was successful in getting Environment and Climate Change Canada funding to do actually some functional wetland assessments in Torbay. So, no details yet, but we're really, really excited about this news. So,
That's awesome. Great
Yeah.
to hear.
Excellent. That's good news.
Yeah. Thanks.
Any other comment? All right, well, good picture. I'm gonna vote first. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's good to hear. Well, can we talk about that tomorrow? Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks, Julie.
After, at the end of the meeting, we get the council picture of all these. All right, so that's the end of the proclamation part of the meeting. So we have a presentation here from the Chair of Newfoundland Labrador Provincial Committee, Air Cadet League of Canada. And I got your name wrote down. I know it's Dennis Dillon, but the other one I wrote it down and I can't read it.
That's okay. Good evening, Mayor Scott, councillors, how are you? My name is Dennis Dillon, and I'm the Vice Chair for the Air Cadet League of Canada, Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Committee. I'm happy to say that I'm here with Major Mike Crawford, and Major Crawford is the Area Elemental Officer for the Regional Cadet Support Unit in Atlantic Canada. And I'm here to just share some news about the Air Cadet League of Canada in Newfoundland and Labrador, and our desire and wish and hope to establish an Air Cadet Squadron in your community. In partnership with the Canadian Armed Forces, we provide a fully funded, fully supervised program for youth aged 12 to 18 years old. The program is designed to offer citizenship, leadership, air elemental training, basically an interest in flying, aviation subjects, and we offer a number of other programs, music, biathlon, effective speaking, all designed to give our youth the opportunity to become productive members of society, whether they be counselors, mayors, doctors, physicians, lawyers. We help prepare them for adulthood. And over the years, the Air Cadet Squadron's in Newfoundland and Labrador, number 21, and we have almost 500 youth from across the province participate in our program. You'll see in a letter that's obviously in the agenda that we're looking for support from the town of Torbay to offer this fully funded program at no cost to council or to the town, and no cost to the cadets that participate as well. So I look forward to answering any questions that you have, and hopefully we'll be able to work together to help the youth in the town of Torbay. Thank you very much.
That's great, and thank you. And I know that, yes, your letter is in our council package. We've been corresponding for, since 2019 now, before the pandemic.
That's right.
When our building first opened.
Yeah.
That you've been trying to get down here, and now we're only, I guess, in the last 6 months, really, back up to full capacity at the building. So I know you've been talking with staff about trying to figure that out, so hopefully we can come to some kind of mutual happy agreement. My son was in Air Cadets, and he really enjoyed it. And, you know, it's a good experience. My father was in Air Cadets probably 60 years ago.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
it's been around a while.
It's been around a while, since 1949. That's when we were established and received our first approval to have an Air Cadet Squadron in the province, and it's grown since then. I joined the Air Cadet program when I was 13 years old, and I don't mind telling you, I'm 59 and I can't get it out of my blood. It is an organization that can really change a person's future, a young person's future. I've seen people come into our organization that may not have been destined for the right side of the tracks, as I would say, and through some direction from some very qualified Canadian Armed Forces personnel and a very supportive environment. 20 years later, I still get people tell me that their time in Air Cadets has absolutely changed their lives. So I look forward to working with the town and certainly hope that we can set up a squadron here in your community. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Can I have a comment?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm super excited about this. As I listened to you speak, one of my very best friends, it wasn't Air Cadets, but it was another form of cadets, swears that's what changed her life. And two of my best friends on the West Coast are very heavily involved in Air Cadets, and we've been friends since we were in university a few years back.
Nice.
And I can tell you it's made a big difference in their lives as well. So
Nice.
super, super excited to have you here tonight. Super excited we're having this conversation. And I think there's nothing but good can come from this. So thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for making your time and coming here. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Okay. Is it? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. All right, so next on our agenda, we have a special presentation from Mayor Dan Bobbitt from the town of Paradise. So one of our friends and colleagues, Councillor Elizabeth Laurie, is battling cancer, and I guess no easy way to put it. And, you know, there's a lot of people in many municipalities across the province that know her, that work with her, and her friends and family that want to be there to support her. So Town of Paradise started this We Believe campaign, and I know that our town is proud and honored to be part of it, and particularly to be the first town that Mayor Bobbitt is going to hand off the sign to. I know that Elizabeth also has family here in the town of Torbay, so there's a connection there. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to accept the sign from Mayor Bobbitt. We're going to hand it around to council, and council had their little say, and then we'll get a picture. But I'm really, this is something that's, you know, it's close to all of our hearts, I'm sure, and I know that Elizabeth really appreciates it. So with that. We believe.
We believe.
We believe.
We believe.
We believe, Councillor Laurie.
Thank you. We believe, I believe in you, Miss. Mr. Mayor, come up here. We're going to take a picture of all of us together with this. Mayor. Are we all getting it? Mayor? Thank you. You've been nice.
Just want to say it collectively.
Indeed, we do. 1, 2, 3.
We believe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You have a picture?
She's gonna get a picture now. I'll take good care of this.
There. Oh.
Thanks, everybody. Where am I? Q&A, we had no Q&As come in to be done? No. Good, okay, mayor's report? No report. There you go, carry on. Business rising. Any questions on any of that stuff there? No, good. Correspondence, so that was correspondence we just referenced earlier. It's correspondence from the Air Cadet League of Canada, Newfoundland Committee. That has been forwarded on to staff, and I know that they've already been meeting with them. Municipal Assessments Agency update. Just an update that's sent on to wherever got to go.
That's on to, just goes on to all of the, all of council.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any comments on that?
No.
All right. Federation of Command Municipalities. Board directors and directors meeting Advocacy Days, December 6th to the 8th, 2023. It's here for information. Did you have anything you want to say about it?
No, I gave the verbal update last meeting, so that's just the staff update. As promised.
All right, perfect.
Thanks, Mayor.
Excellent. All right, Committees of Council. Committee of the Whole report from January 16th, 2023. Could I get, is there any motions in this?
No.
No motions in this. Could I get a motion to adopt, please?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Any comments or questions? Or errors or omissions, I should say? Or comments or questions?
Excuse me, Your Worship, you want to give folks a chance to escape if they want to?
They all looks like they enjoying it.
Well, maybe we'll take the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Oh, Lord.
Good call, Tony.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to
Tony,
meet you.
we're trying to increase attendance. Come on. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Committees of Council, Planning, Land Use Development, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on the 18th at 9:30, myself and Julie and Jason and Councillor Tapper. There's only one motion here right now, a motion to accept permit listings for weeks ending January 19th, 2023 as tabled. So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The,
Carried.
sorry,
Carry on.
while the meeting is short on motions, it certainly wasn't short on time spent, and our most important discussion, I guess, our most important issue for the town of Torbay is the issue of water. And we had WSP, who are the consultants on the Great Pond project at the present time, in attendance. There is information in the back that you could actually review at your leisure. It was very encouraging from our perspective, and I think we should have a meeting sometime in the not too distant future to determine how we want to relay this to our counterparts in the higher levels of government. There is a time chart associated with it, and right now we're in the very first phases, and it looks like the first phases will take us, say, till, the middle of June type thing, to have our treatment option study done, which is more information that we will need to really understand that and the synergies between that and the treatment plant we're having for North Pond, and as well to provide more information to Environment and DFO, so that they will be able to have their information full and monitor what we're doing on an ongoing basis. There doesn't seem to be any issues in terms of moving forward. It's just going to be, regardless of what we do, we're going to have to do some type of mitigation from an environment standard for the fish habitat and those things. So we'll be monitoring those, and our planning and development department is now going to be working very closely with WSP to lay out a longer-term plan in terms of looking at some of the rezoning that needs to be done. The watershed area for Great Pond needs to be increased because over time, I guess, the accuracy with which we can map a watershed has changed and is more refined, so that will increase some areas a little bit. We're going to look at some of the issues around property. We're going to look at the issues where the pipeline will go from the original start and where we might connect up to the old system. So all that information is touched on there at some point, and we will be having regular meetings. The next meeting will be midway through this first session, so they'll probably be in, latter part of April, first part of May, and we'll meet again with WSP. And a very promising meeting that one, so we'll keep the iron on it and try to keep the foot to the flame. Councillor Tapper, you want anything to say on it?
Yeah, I just want to, confirm what Tony just said. To me, it was one of the best meetings I've ever had with a consultant, especially on this topic, which goes back a long ways. But there's a lot of information there. Take time out to look at the documents. At least now we got some kind of a timeline as to what we can do and what order we could do it. And, it's not that far out, really, when you look at it. But it's going to cost money, and it's going to cost time and a lot of work. And I appreciate Julia and her staff for getting, we talked about this at our previous committee meeting, in getting the consultant in, and it took just 2 weeks. And they had some really good information for us. So I think with Tony, we're going to get him in again as often as we can, and we got to see this through. It's our biggest issue.
And I think it's important to notice too, and if I can speak to it again, is the fact that we did try to reinforce the need to make sure that anything that can be done simultaneously is done, so we don't have to wait for one thing to finish before we pick up something that has no impact on what just finished, that type scenario. So the critical paths have certainly been laid out, and we'll be monitoring closely. If you look on the Gantt chart itself, don't be in shock when it says 2027 as the end of the project, because that is not laid out in stone. It's going to depend on a lot of the areas beforehand, and that line on the graph can actually move to the left, so it should be, hopefully be a lot closer than 2027, maybe 2026, late 2025, but it's going to be a number of years before we certainly get, all the work that needs to be done in the ground. But at this point in time here now, we're, I think it's well underway, and the next thing to do is try to get our politicians on side so that we can get some much needed funding to bring this to fruition.
Agreed. All right.
That's it.
Thank you, sir. All right. Admin and HR.
Okay.
Councilor Manning.
All right. Okay, we had our meeting on Wednesday, January 18th. On our recruitment and selection, communications coordinator, we were provided with an update as it relates to the vacant communications coordinator position. External job posting has been published. A career beacon in the town's website and social media accounts, as well as on MNLS and PMA's social media platforms. Closing date is January 27th, and certainly once the job posting closes, Director of Human Resources will review the applications, and the aim is to have the position filled on or before February 24th. Municipal enforcement. The CAO has distributed additional information pertaining to Guardia and its municipal enforcement services to all members of council for review and feedback. This was the discussion and where we went with in our discussions. So a further update will be provided to committee members and all members of council once that's available. For the policies and procedures, work from home policy, Director of Human Resources has provided draft copy to all committee members and for review and feedback prior to our next meeting, which is scheduled for January 30th, and the aim is to have this finalized version prepared for all members of council to review. The other policies and procedures are listed there in timeframes that we're working towards. Employee health and wellness, Director of HR is, along with the CAO, have commenced the process of conducting one-on-one employee sessions with all staff members to complete an employee health and wellness check-in for 2023. And the aim is to have all those sessions done by March 31st. So other agenda items, the organizational and restructuring proposal, recreation. Members of committee held, we further discussed this about the restructuring proposal currently being evaluated by the CAO and Director of Human Resources, and an update will be provided to council once everything is all concluded or available. And council professional development travel policy, Councillor Appley's request. The members of committee, we completed a review of the professional development submission received from Councillor Appleby on January 13th. And the 2023 professional development budget and allocation of funds has been approved as part of the 2023 budget. A motion of council will be forthcoming to render a decision in relation to the request submitted. The emergency preparedness plan. Members of committee held a further discussion on this, and a further update will be provided to members of council once available, and also with the strategic plan. Discussion is still being held, and the further update will be provided. And that's it. Next meeting, January 30th, if not before.
Right.
Any questions, concerns?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. Corporate Services, Councillor Tepper.
Okay, there's, as usual, a number of documents there. We'll deal with number 1 for the Corporate Services report. So I'll read into the record a few items, and then we have some invoices for approval. Payroll, regular payroll for 55 employees for the 2-week period ended January 13th, 2023, totaled $120,920.28. Accounts payable for the 2-week period ended January 13, 2023. Invoices in the amount of $276,349.04 were processed. So for, we've got 10 operating invoices totaling $140,962.18. Invoice 201409821, Cody's Construction and Excavating Limited, $11,500. Invoice 23359, Municipalities, Newfoundland and Labrador, $9,840.67. Invoice 2023003, Lynn Morrissey, $6,440. Invoice 2022037, Lynn Morrissey, $5,175. Invoice 104357, first quarter assessment fees, $25,616.50. Invoice 101002933, JCB backhoe repair, $6,693.95. Invoice December 30th, 2022, NL Power, $19,729.58. Invoice December 26, 2022, Pitney Bowes, $6,646.68. Invoice January 1st to the 15th, 2023, Receiver General, $41,319.80. Invoice 2022, New Year, WJ Fireworks, $8,000. So moved for payment.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Before we vote on that, Mayor, should we ask that the M&L fees be pulled out and you and I not vote on that? I think we should for the conflict piece.
There's no conflict there.
We're sitting members on that board.
There's no, that's our membership fee, the same as every other municipality pays. It's no difference.
Just asking.
Right, you know what I mean? It's an uncommon thing to everyone.
Yeah, I know, but we should not vote on that specific motion because we're members of that board. We've been advised at the M&L table. And I apologize, I should have mentioned that before the motion came forward. That's my fault.
Well, I don't remember that, but I mean, our council will decide if we're in a conflict or not, right? So do we want to put that question to council?
I think we should for that portion of the motion, just to be clear, because I
Okay.
don't want to vote on something that we
Right.
shouldn't vote on.
Okay. So,
I move Mayor and Councillor Appleby not in conflict in reference to the 2023 M&L membership fees.
Second.
Second.
second. Actually, you gotta do that. You do it.
Okay. All right, so, any discussion? So, any comments? No?
I don't see any conflict. It's a fee, and we're gonna have to deal with these fees every year, you know, so we're grateful to have two members of our council on the board, but, you know, I don't see a conflict in this situation.
Okay, I call question, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So you're
Okay.
considered not in conflict, so back to you.
All right, thank you. All right,
Question then.
Question.
call the questions.
I've got a question.
Aye.
The invoices here for Lynn Morris here, are these from this year?
I can speak to that. These are invoices for two pieces of work that were already in process before we changed the process for engaging HR consultants, and the work would be done internally. So these are two pieces of work from 2022, so they will be put back or journal entered back to 2022 fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you.
One is a investigation, and one is was a performance evaluation before the Director of Human Resources started undertaking that work. The work was already in process.
Okay, thank you.
Just to reconfirm, there's no additional invoices forthcoming from Lynn Morrissey. Her work is complete with the town of Torbay.
I got to ask the question. They must be outstanding since last, May, June? I mean, as a member of the HR committee, I was not aware that there was anything outstanding with her. And I have asked a couple of times about one particular performance evaluation and that it was with her, but I didn't realize that she had finished it. So I'm at a loss here with regards to all of the invoices that we've paid for this particular individual. And we asked, even during the budget and when the last ones came through, that was it. There was no more. So, and I always thought that, this consultant was really on top of all of her invoices. So I have to ask the question, when did we receive those invoices?
So there was one submitted in late November, and I forwarded that to the director for last committee meeting. The investigation was delayed, and I really shouldn't be talking about the context of that in the public chamber, but it is now complete, and the invoice was forwarded. I'd have to check the date on it for you, but I believe it was earlier this year based on an investigation under Respectful Workplace that took place last year that experienced delays.
So, based on that, and if, regardless of what they are, I would like to see what the total cost of each of those pieces of work, because is this an example where we paid a portion of it already? Because I know we had much discussion over this a while back, and is this another amount that's being added on? So I personally would like to see those deferred until we find out exactly what the overall total cost was for these two pieces of additional work.
One is for performance evaluation and one is for the entire investigation. There was no partial invoices issued for any work from the consultant. They are, she submits her invoices upon completion of the work.
I still got questions there, if they're up on completion of the work. Sorry, but I'm just saying right now, I'm not in favor of those two invoices being paid as presented.
Well, just want to point out that CAO had just mentioned that one of those invoices was for an investigation. It was likely something that I had conducted, that you wouldn't know about and nobody else on council would know about anyway, as a part of our policy. So, I mean, it's completed and it's done, so.
Well, even the one that was, I'm sorry, but even the one that was submitted in November, like, I'm just not comfortable with that as being part of the HR committee, so I'm entitled to that.
Could I just,
Go ahead.
obviously Norm and Councillor Goss are not here this evening, but I just want to mention when myself and Councillor Goss, saw these invoices and who they were from, we were quite surprised ourselves, obviously, and we thought months ago that we'd see the end of them, but it kind of caught us off guard. I know Don has explained, and Norm gave us some information too at the meeting. So, but I just, for the record, hopefully this is it. We've got a director of human resources now that can do some of this work. The outside work, for that example the mayor indicated, obviously we got to get somebody from outside. But, I just want to see the end of it and move on. So, and I'm sure that I can't speak for Councillor Goss, but he indicated the same.
Go ahead.
As per the Respectful Workplace and Harassment Prevention Plan policy, council may not be aware of investigations that are ongoing, and pending whether they are informal or formal mechanisms, they'd either be facilitated internally or an external consultant would have to be engaged. I did send an email to all council, and we can discuss at committee of the whole what should happen in the case if investigations are required in 2023 and the resources to deal with those. I can confirm the investigation did go on longer for extenuating circumstances, and I can't disclose anything further than that, but it is resolved, or it's completed from the investigator's point of view. And as per the policy, the person that requests an investigation can request someone external. So we will need resources, hopefully not to the extent that we've had in 2022, but from this particular consultant, her work with the town is finished.
All right.
Just on that, I know, I saw and I asked the same question, because I know at a previous council meeting I had asked whether or not there was any more invoices coming from Lynn Morrissey. I guess there's two things on this. One is the substance of the, or content of those invoices, what it was for, and it's the timing of how we account for them. And I'm, right now, a little more concerned with the timing of how we account for them. Not that it's a negative thing, it's just that it's these surprises or these invoices that have been outstanding for a longer period of time that really bother me. And it bothers me not only from Lynn's perspective, but also from some of the project's perspective as well, in terms that we should really know what expenses are associated with what we're doing, so we know whether or not there's more coming or not, and be ready to say, yes, there's an invoice coming, or this project's still in process, and not have it appear and say, yeah, okay, oh, there it is, that's a surprise to us, or at least someone should know, and maybe they do. It's just that when these comes back in conversations around the HR consulting, especially relating to last year and the dollars we spent, is what makes this a little out of the way. Looking at the invoice numbers, one is, looks like a late invoice in 2022 and one of the first invoices in 2023, according to Lynn's number convention there, right? So I'm less concerned about the substance than I am I'm concerned about substance on a different field, but from the accounting side of things, I would like to see them more easily done. When we cross years, it really gets hard to know where we have been in the previous year and where we're going this year. So at the end of the day, I'm fine that we got the answer now, that there's no more coming from Lynn, we're cut up to date.
We were told that before.
Okay. We call the question.
No, sorry, I did another question on another invoice there.
Go ahead.
Cody's construction estimating, that John Deere loader rental, is that a one-off, or is that part and parcel of our loader rentals for the year? And if it is, do we tender that out?
That is a rental of loader for snow clearing, where we didn't receive delivery of our JCB loader for this year in time. The loaders should be here in mid-February, so there's going to be 2 invoices to that amount.
Can, just follow up on that, Brian, with relation to the JCB loader, are they the loaders we purchased, or were they a rental agreement?
No, the JCB loader will be one that we purchased.
We purchased.
Yeah.
Was there a delivery time on that we can claim back anything for late delivery on, you know?
No, it was, delivery date was December, and it got delayed for shipping.
No penalties associated with that?
There was no penalty associated with that.
Thank you.
Okay. Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
You got me, did Joanne? Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's an invoice, a capital invoice. Invoice 217781, Triware Technologies, Inc., $11,711.74. So moved for payment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Can I ask why we purchased another ProBook? Was that staff related? What's the reasoning for the expenditure, please?
That's a docking station.
It
Oh,
says
yeah,
ProBook
okay,
docking
right.
station
Right.
and an LED display. I'm assuming that's another piece of infrastructure for the municipality.
There was 2 laptops replaced operationally. I'd spoke to Councillor Tapper before the meeting. I don't have the backup on those 2 because the director's not in attendance, and if council's more comfortable, we can defer that because 2 laptops shouldn't cost that amount of money. Or we can provide the clarification thereafter, council's decision.
Can we defer it if we don't have the information until we do and then take a vote on it after? I'd like to know what it's for. I don't know.
I could withdraw it if you like, for now.
Yeah, unanimous?
Defer.
You can withdraw it? Good, everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay.
Okay, there's a number of other documents there. If there's any questions.
I had a question.
You got some more
You got a motion?
Oh, yes,
or-
we got one more, yes, okay, sorry. Okay, the tender process for the sale of the 2007 International Pierce Contender fire pumper truck closed at 2:30 Thursday, January 19, 2023. There's a tender summary there. Upon review, it was the fire chief's recommendation that the bid of $85,000 from the town of Beatty Verde be awarded as a successful proponent for the sale of the 2007 International Pierce Contender fire pumper truck. So a motion of council is required. So I move, resolved that as per recommendation of Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, that the sale of the 2007 International Pierce Contender fire pumper truck be awarded to the town of Beatty Grave for $85,000 as received by tender bid submission. The 2 other bids received will be notified that they were unsuccessful. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
The $85,000 is money that we didn't budget, so that's additional funds for us to use in 2023.
To me, that should
How
go
do we
right down
dispose
on the
of it?
new fire truck.
So what the director, fire chief and I discussed was we examined breaking the loan and the interest, the charges on that. So the recommendation is to put it in reserve, and when the loan comes up for renewal, we will use that funds to pay down the remaining debt owed and then finance the remainder.
Right, because Flower owns a portion of that, right?
Sorry?
Flat Rock would own a portion of that money.
Yeah.
Actually, as per the 2008 agreement with Flat Rock, that once the pumper was, Flat Rock pumper was paid off, that it would be deeded to the town of Torbay for $1 and put in our name, which that transaction was completed in 2015.
Okay. Because the new pumper we just bought, they'll pay a portion of that, right? As per, through the, for the.
They will, as per the agreement, they'll pay, as per census data, they will pay 20%.
Okay.
Can we confirm that the if the $85,000 doesn't go on that debt, it goes on some other debt. I thought the fire truck was termed out, so that when it's renewed, it doesn't renew, it's done. It's to the life, I'm not sure, I can't remember.
According to the discussion with the director, no, it was a 5-year term, so, but I'll make a note to reconfirm and advise council.
All right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, there's one more motion.
Yeah, in the corporate services one there, number 2.
Yeah.
Couple of motions in there, I think.
Yeah. Okay, the tender process for the sale of a 2010 Ford Ranger 4x4 pickup truck closed at 2 p.m. on Thursday, January 19th, 2023. Again, the tender's summary is there. The Director of Infrastructure and Public Works, Brian Winter, reviewed the bids, and the 2 bids were recorded at 2:04 p.m. Thursday, January 19, 2023. Upon review, it was the Director's recommendation that the bid of $853 from Blaine Cole be awarded as the successful proponent for the sale of the 2010 Ford Ranger 4x4 pickup truck. A motion of council is required, which is resolved that, as per recommendation of Director of Infrastructure and Public Works, that the sale of the 2010 Ford Ranger 4x4 pickup truck be awarded to Blaine Cole for $853, as received by the tender bid submission. The one other bid received will be notified that they were unsuccessful. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
Just got a question with regards, so that truck obviously wasn't drivable.
Yeah, the truck is a 2010. It's not in the best of shape. We did have it out for tender before, with a reserve of $1,500, and we didn't receive any bids, so that's the reason we dropped her back.
Okay, because when I saw what the
Yeah.
reserve bid was of $750, I was thinking that, considering that the town, for maintenance and anything going on with any of these vehicles,
Yeah,
that
that's
I
one.
thought it'd be a lot more, valued at a lot more than that.
That's one of the vehicles that we replaced earlier in or in 2022.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that much, but I'm just thinking that it's hard to believe that it was in that bad of condition.
Yeah, it is like I say, it is a 2010.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
There are a couple of donation requests. Team Perry.
You got motions there too, buddy. Photocopy of renewal.
Number 2. There's so many there.
Losing the Maidstone.
Still can't find it, I'm sorry. Oh,
Right here. Just click on that.
I did that.
There you go.
Okay, very good, thanks. Okay, motion number 1, photocopier renewal. The committee reviewed the responses to the request for quotes for the provision of a new photocopier for the town hall at the expiration of the current lease. 2 responses were received: Nova Imprint, $641.88, Pinnacle Office Solutions, $630. The Corporate Services Committee recommends the award of the lease of the new Xerox C8155 photocopier for the town hall to Pinnacle Office Solutions in the amount of $630 plus HST per quarter. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Team Perry sponsorship. Team Perry recently won the U18 Provincial Men's Curling Playdowns to become Team NL for the 2022-23 curling season. This provides the team with the opportunity to represent the province in the men's U18 Canadian Curling Championships. The team will be traveling to Timmins, Ontario from February 5th to the 11th, 2023. The town has received a request for financial assistance to assist with the costs of travel to the national championships. In accordance with the town's donation policy, the Corporate Services Committee recommends a donation of $200 to Team Perry to assist with their travel costs. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion 3, appointment of Assessment Appeals Commissioner. An Assessment Appeals Commissioner is required to be appointed for 2023 Assessment Appeals hearings based upon the reasonableness of fees, the availability of the Commissioner, and the timeliness of receipt of the written appeals hearings results. The Corporate Services Committee recommends the reappointment of Donald Peckham as our Assessment Appeals Commissioner. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion 4, DARE donation request. The Northeast Avalon Regional DARE Drug Abuse and Resistance Education Committee presents the DARE program in every grade 6 classroom in the elementary school system of the Northeastern Avalon region. The DARE program is a 10-week in-classroom program facilitated by uniformed police officers through the RNC. The program discusses and encourages wise decision-making and opens a trusted, interactive, and positive relationship between police officers and young people. The impact of this program is far-reaching and it enables graduates to make informed and safe decisions as they move forward in their lives. The town has received a request for financial assistance to assist with the costs to the DARE, to deliver the DARE program. In accordance with the town's donation policy, the Corporate Services Committee recommends a donation of $200 to the Northeast Avalon Regional DARE program, or DARE Committee, to assist with the delivery of the DARE program. So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Questions?
The amount of $200, have we reviewed that? And I apologize for not knowing the donation policy right off the top of my head. Is 200 the maximum we can do? My mind goes here. I mean, we all know that there is now a proliferation of drugs everywhere in the St. John's area, the greater St. John's area, and all Northeast Avalon. This program is timely in that it's offered to the age group probably most affected by the attraction of drugs, I guess, and that. And I just see, you know, everywhere in the news, I see it all around me that it's just anything we can do to help on this front at all to cut into any potential drug use. I think we should offer the best we can. So I was just wondering what our donation policy looks like, whether or not we can offer more under that program.
I believe we can offer more.
Yes, there's
Well, that's
different,
just-
various categories. Some are 500, some can go up to 1,000.
And with the budget amount that was allocated for this year, we're trying to you know, keep in line with last year. Most of our donations last year were $200. So, you know, you can, if you want a motion more, you can.
I was going to say the same thing when I read down over the package. It seems such a small amount for something that we really need to have in the community. And much along the same lines what Tony said, word for word. So if there's anything that way that we can increase that to at least 500, like, it's not much, but again, I think that it's so important. I know one of my grandsons participated in this and came home and was all upbeat. So for the youngsters to be getting that in the school, and I'm assuming that they've gone to the other towns that go to those schools as well, so.
Right. So does somebody want to make a motion to increase it?
Can I ask a question? Can we ask that this gets taken back and looked at? And I think to Deputy Mayor's point, you know, there's different things that can be done here. A donation doesn't always have to be a financial donation. It can also be in kind. The question is, you know, from a municipal perspective, which municipalities are investing and how much into the DARE program? The ask here is for $2,500. Is that for all of the communities combined that are within the service catchment area for the school for Juniper Ridge? Is there an ability of all of us to work together as collective municipalities to contribute, you know, per capita, an amount towards that within our own budget allocations? I think also the conversation of, You know, we have brand-new, beautiful facilities here. Is there something that we can do in partnership with the coordinators of the DARE program to offer space, time, resources, whereby it's not a financial donation, but it's some ability for grandchildren, children, community members to come together, have conversations, work with people, you know, in ways that would be supportive to the DARE program. I agree 100% with Councillor Pollard. I have, since I've moved in this community and long before I was on council, reported and been concerned about the use of hypodermic needles in our neighborhoods, find them in the end of our street across from, you know, my kids' grandparents' house where they live half the time. We really need to take action the best way we know how, and I think that if we go back and look at this, maybe we can find a way to work with the other municipalities in the region, have some regional cooperation on how we have a more significant impact. So maybe if committee can take it back, staff can have a look at it, and we can bring back a motion at the next meeting. It might be more in line with meeting the goals of what the program is asking for across the region.
I think it's not hard to figure out what they're looking for. It costs $13 per child to do. The DARE program is a specific program to grade 6 students at the schools. It doesn't happen outside the school. It happens at the school, in the classroom, with those particular students, and that's the way it goes every year. So I suspect that they know how many kids are in the class in grade 6 here in Torbay. It's probably, might be a couple hundred, 200 definitely probably. There's probably 5 classes or 6 classes or 4 classes. It's probably, even if it was 100, at $13 a student, you're looking at $1,300. So, you know, I think that if we increased our donation amount, I'd be fine with that, because this program is going to happen in school in the coming months, right? So I agree, we could take it back and go back to them and ask if there are other things that we could do, but to this specific request is about the program that they run in the school for grade 6s, and it's going to be doing it in 2022, 2023. So I don't know that about every town, what letter they received, how much of a donation that they were asking for. They probably know how many students are in grade 6 in our school, and probably what they asked for.
But Mayor, that's why I asked the question. We can take it away, staff can look at it, they can speak amongst themselves, figure out exactly what's going on. And, you know, to Councillor Pollard's point, this is a preventative measure to try to mitigate potential issues in the future that none of us want to have any of our family members deal with. And, you know, my son's in grade 6 this year. I believe the DARE program may be finished with what they're doing right now in school. There doesn't mean, though, that they can't do additional work or something around it. Is there more that they are going to do or able to do that would give us cause for that? Is there abilities to find resources in our budget? We just found $85,000 that we just had in a sale of a pumper. Can we find, you know, the $2,300 in the difference? I don't know, but that's the reason why I asked that it's taken back. So we look at regional approach, regional discussion, getting more facts, getting more understanding, having a look at what opportunities do we have as a town to support this work. Is there something that a recreation department can do through program servicing, space, time, in kind, anything that could benefit, relate, be a part of it? I don't know, but it's definitely something I think it's worth having a conversation across our departments, and then see, is there something that we can do and bring forward that might be a little more substantiated in supporting drug awareness and risk assessment.
All right, so should we just go ahead and approve this 200 and then go back and look if there's additional funds or additional things that we can do for them?
No, I'd suggest we go back and look, because if you just say take $200, then that'll be the end of it, you won't
Right.
come back, so
Okay,
defer their request. That's what I suggest.
all right. What do you, let's have a motion to defer then.
I'll make the motion that we defer this motion and ask that staff communicate with the other communities, and we ask our departments to have a look at and speak with the DARE group to see if there's any other way to maximize contributions towards the program. So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comment, or can we just vote? Colleen? All right. All in favor?
That's fine, bring it back and review it, and if we can, it wouldn't hurt to have some information around the commentary from the constabulary in terms of the success or failure of this project as well, because it's been on the go for a period of time. Obviously, they're continuing, so there must be some, visible benefit or outcome from it that they have logged somewhere along the way, so if we can have that information as well, it'll certainly help with the decision process.
All right, sounds good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I believe that is my report.
We actually have one additional invoice from WSP. It was placed on everyone's desk earlier this afternoon. It's regarding the Great Pond, the ongoing Great Pond study, and an invoice for services rendered by the consultant.
Okay, can I move that invoice number GE 5292 dated the 1/17/2023 for WSP E&I Canada Limited be approved for payment $6,028.88. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Thank you, sir. Economic Development and Tourism. Councillor Epley.
Thank you, Worship. Myself, Councillor Manning, and our Economic Development and Tourism Officer, Deanne Lawrence, met on January 12th by Zoom. We ran through the economic development part of the meeting. We looked at opportunities to see if we can get a co-op placement student to support the department. I won't read everything that's in here. We had 3 inquiries for new startups since January 1st, which is awesome. And our membership for the Economic Development Association of Canada has been renewed. The business attraction discussion, we talked about the RBC location. So, as we all know, RBC will be leaving the community. We've put together some ideas about what we could do to get an expression of interest. We don't want to limit the opportunity there in the town centre. So there has been a draft EOI that Councillor Manning and I met 9 o'clock this morning and held our committee meeting for this week. Thank you for that. So that's coming to Committee of the Whole for review and discussion to ask Council for its thoughts. We have some ideas based on the conversation that we had, but we feel it's important. It's a pretty important location building, and part of the conversation was around the town's responsibility of the asset go forward and that kind of stuff. So we'll chat about that at our Committee of the Whole. Thank you for getting that on the agenda, and the quick turnaround on that today was much appreciated. The Torbay Business Awards are coming up, and so that's mentioned in here. Under tourism, our hospitality at Newfoundland Labrador membership has been renewed. There's some work there around the marketing, attracting mobile vendors and getting them to come down and participate in community events. And of course, we have our Torbay tourism map. If there's any questions on anything in the report, please feel free to let me know. And other than that, Councillor Mang, do you have anything to add?
No, it's all covered.
No? All right, we're good, Mayor.
Okay, any questions? All good, thank you very much.
Thanks.
History, Heritage, Culture and Arts, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, I've got a motion there, and I don't want to get into all of the information that's there for the motion report because it's for the memorandum of understanding between MON and the town of Torbay. So I'm assuming that everybody is read down over this. I just want to get into the MOU will be administered through Dr. Sean Cadigan, representing the university, and an official delegated by the town of Torbay, and that an advisory committee consisting of project stakeholders and 2 administrators shall be established to assist and advise the administrators. The advisory committee will be a liaison committee of the town of Torbay Council, and its membership mandate and scope of responsibility shall be governed by terms of reference mutually agreed upon by both the administrators and approved by the town council. And I was just going down looking at what I thought that would have been of interest to everybody to read out for the meeting. I'm just going to go with the motion here, because if you got any questions, it's probably, most likely it's in that, it's 4 or 5 pages anyway. Further to the committee of the whole meeting that was held
Excuse
on,
me, Mr. Mayor, can I excuse myself? Conflict of interest?
Right, yeah.
It's perceived, but I don't think I am, but I'd just rather walk away.
okay, so he has to leave?
For this part.
Take your time, Ralph, no hurry. Further to the committee of the whole meeting held on January 3rd, 2023, that the town of Torbay approved the Mannion Collection Memorandum of Understanding between Memorial University and the town of Torbay as presented. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Okay, so after, I guess this went back, we met as a committee last week, and it was also discussed at the board for the History House and Museum. And both parties agreed and confirmed that the total amounts payable for the work shall not exceed a monetary ceiling of $272,769. And there's no cost, I guess, with us, the cost to the town is for the overhead and to have a office space provided for those individuals. So that night, I thought it was a very detailed presentation that we had with Dr. Cadigan and I can't remember, Alton? Hollis. Yeah, so it was really well done, and the MOU I thought was a fabulous job. So I'm recommending, of course, that we approve.
Any questions?
Over here. Just want to ask, and it's for public clarification, there's an in-kind contribution here of town staff's time, right? So these are not additional costs for the town of Torbay. They are things that we're offering as part of the MOU, like the deputy mayor said. And the $272,000 costs that have a ceiling, those are provided by Memorial University, right? So I think it's really important that we clarify that for the public, because I don't want someone coming back and looking at us and going, how come it's costing us to have that there? The Mannion project is, and has been since it's come to this table, an amazing opportunity for this community. And it gives us the ability to bring people into our community from other areas of Newfoundland, all across the country, internationally, to come and learn about genealogy and their connection to Torbay and to Ireland and wherever else. So I just think it's really important that the public understands what that is, and you know, the fact that we're housing in here, we're hosting in here, we have the facility, it's a great draw in our community, and I think it's something that it's a real value add. So I agree with the Deputy Mayor. I think it's something that we should absolutely support, and I feel that it's just important to have that extra layer of clearness for the public when they read through this, because I don't want someone calling me going, how come you got almost $300,000 tied up into this, when the matter of the fact is that's money that's, you know, coming into our community to support something that we're hosting here. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Anyone else? This MOU is to do phase 4 of the Mannion project. So we've received the first 3 phases for basically free, which is a lot of the data. This 4th phase is going to take the remaining data that's there, digitize it all. I think it's all digitized anyway, but it has to be entered into the system, and a more enhanced searchable database and web interface created. So that's what this phase is for, and that's where a lot of the money comes from MUN to do this, and they'll be doing it obviously at our facility or wherever. So that's to your point, right? So yeah, it's a great opportunity. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Can we get Councillor Tepper, please?
Wow.
So you already spoke to your minutes, did you, Deputy Mayor?
No,
No?
no,
I thought you did. Carry on.
we're just waiting for Councillor Tapper to get back. We met on the 19th, and I'm not getting into the particulars. If anybody's got any questions there. Council discussed how the museum advisory minutes and updates, because that came up at our committee of the whole there last week. So currently the minutes and updates are appended to the HHAC minutes, and the report will be presented under the liaison committee. Mannion project, I've touched on all of that. So if there's, this is the cultural service and programming, the summer programming. A draft summer cultural event schedule is in development in partnering with the Torbay Folk Arts Council. And the committee would like to hold a debrief meeting with all volunteers, staff and members of council involved with the Torbay 50 to identify what worked and what needs improvement. And that's something that we have talked about last year with regards to the 50th anniversary. And we talked about having the debrief, and mentioned it to the Director of Recreation and Community Services the other day as well in our meeting, because it's really important for the History House Museum staff and the Recreation Community Services to work together. So that's what the CAO has recommended for any upcoming programs and that for the summer. So I don't know how, but I guess there was a meeting earlier or last week to see how we can go about getting some of those volunteers and that back, and to do that debrief. Because we have to put, I guess I'll get into that when I get into my next minutes about the time in Torbay and for this summer. That's it. Anybody got any questions on what we've got in there? And Councillor Tapper, you got anything? I guess the update is continuing in there with requests for grants that we had, and an update for any funding received. You got anything?
Just to mention, one of the minutes there are there from the January 17th meeting. We had 6 out of 8 members there from the committee, and had a great discussion as usual. But since they've been in existence as a committee now for just over a year, I put the question to them as to how they feel it was working. You know, especially with the relationship with the manager, and everybody felt that it was a great atmosphere, positive atmosphere from all levels there, and the manager's doing a great job. So I think they're going to be around for a while. You know, they're really positive about what's happening there. So.
Good. All right. Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor, just one question. You mentioned Tom in Torbay. Have we been in conversation with that committee? What's happening on that?
There hasn't been. I mentioned that at our meeting the other day. So there hasn't been any communication, and I've talked to the CAO about that, because I know when the mayor was at any of the town events, that was something that he talked about, and I know that Barry was under the understanding if anything that went well, that we would potentially or could look at it again for, or something similar along the lines, but there hasn't been any discussion with them for a debrief, so that's why I'm asking the director to look in having something.
Well, you're talking about the Torbay 50. She's
Yeah.
talking about the Torbay Tom and Torbay.
I'm talking about the same thing.
No, we're not. They're
Well,
completely
okay, I'm
different.
time in Torbay and the fifth,
Tom
yeah.
and Torbay committee.
Yes,
So-
but the time in Torbay committee was similar to, though, anybody that participated and volunteered in the 50th anniversary this year.
No, it didn't. It's a separate entity,
Oh,
and.
I know where you're going
And we
now.
need to, if we're gonna have a discussion about Tom and Torbay, then we need to reach out to the Tom and Torbay committee. We need to understand what that committee is intending to do, if anything, and then where to from here.
So that's the one that's got the money in the account.
That is,
That's
that
the
is the
difference,
reason why I
yeah.
asked the question, because if we're saying Torbay 50 is what we did, what the organization, Barry Codner and volunteers did. The, you know, the recreation department does stuff, the history house does stuff, but this is a standalone independent organization that is not part of the town. And my understanding, when I was involved in 2015, was that there was an MOU that was gonna be established with the town, that if the organization decided to not continue, there was an agreement in there with the town of how it was gonna function. And the conversation happens every year about a time in Torbay, but I don't think any of us really know what a time in Torbay is doing. So I think that and it is a brand, it does exist, so I think if we could ask that staff reach out, communicate with them, find out what's going on and get an update for council, so we can understand where they are, what's happening, and then if it is dissolving, let it dissolve. If it's not, then find out where do we as a municipality work with the committee to provide support and see where to from here.
Just for clarification on that, Don, last year when that came up, because there was, at first meeting for the 50th anniversary, there was a discussion there, but there was supposed to be an MOU, but
They never
maybe
got signed.
I was just asking, so it's my understanding that that was never signed off by the town. They talked about it, but it was never completed.
So can we look into what happened there? and
Well,
what
Don did last
parameters-
year for the 50th anniversary. You probably got some light to shine, share with everybody on that?
So we met with the Time in Torbay group. They decided that they wanted to take a break. Then COVID hit, and they had input into the MOU. And then I believe one of their members sought employment outside the province, and so it didn't go anywhere from there. Their money is still in a bank account. So there was a member of that committee that was involved with our Torbay 50th, so we can reach out to him and just check and see what the status of that group is for this year, and if they plan on re-energizing or coming back to partner with the town. That can be done over the next couple of days and advised to all council.
Next couple of days, you know.
Could I ask a question? When that committee was first set up, did the town give them any money?
Yeah, we used to give them $25,000 a year, and
$25,000 a year, and there's still money in that kitty. They've done nothing for several years. So really, does it exist? You know, we had this discussion with the Torbay 50 committee, right? And because, you know, obviously there was money there that we could have used, you know, in the same way next year. But I think it's time now to, and I heard, Don, do you have signing authority? So it's time to, you know, approach somebody. There's a couple of them still around town, active.
Well, there's a couple of them still on
They
the 50th. That's
they were
why
on the
I knew
yes,
that
they
CAO
volunteered
was
some.
checking into that
Yeah.
last year, so.
Yeah. But I think it's time to make a move and recapture the money.
all right, let's get some clarification around it.
Yeah, we have made contact with them because we've asked the same questions you're asking here tonight, and so we are planning to have a meeting with that group so that we can get clarification about all of the questions that are asked, and we will certainly report back to council when we have some information to be able to share with you folks.
Okay, thank you.
So, no, when you say we, that's yourself and Jen, the recreation, that's after that came out of, I'm assuming, the meeting that you had last week, the joint meeting that you had? Perfect.
And the Folk Art Council will be part of that meeting too.
Okay. Sounds good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask one more question on that, Mayor? Will there be a record of the discussion, who attended and what happens, just because there could be
I'm pretty-
potential legal.
I'm pretty sure there will be no, we'll make sure there's no.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking there could be legal implications if it's challenged. I just want to make sure we've got it well documented, that's all.
Yeah, that's fine, yes.
That's something that I can vouch for.
All right. Infrastructure, Public Works, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on the 18th at 8:15 in the morning, myself and Councillor Appleby and Director Bryan. A lot of the information is obviously an ongoing scenario of information that doesn't change much over time. The flow meter project is essentially complete now, with the exception of, at meeting time, there was one more zone meter to put in, and it was one of the above-ground ones, not the one in the 3 chambers that are actually under the road service, I would say, because they're all done. So the project is expected to be commissioned and completed fairly soon. I guess it says over the winter, so we're getting close to the end of winter, I guess, now. And I know it was supposed to be this week, but I'm not even going to ask Brian. We'll get an update on the next one. So anyway, it's close to its end and commissioning. Trail development, there's been a lot of talk around trail development, you know, every time we go through any meetings and budgets and things of that nature. So there is a revised plan in the back, and we did raise up the flag on the Eagle's Nest one again as being a priority for this year. So the proposed trails list from 2023-2026 is in the backup there, that information.
Can I just comment on that? That's, you know, it's great to have that, and for at least residents to realize what's there potentially for expansion of our trails. So it's good stuff.
The water treatment for North Pond, there's the report on the water quality for 2022 is there now attached for people's reading. I won't delve into that, so if anyone has any questions, they can certainly review it and ask Brian, because I don't have those great answers. The Great Pond Water Study we mentioned in the planning and development meeting, as the planning and development is, I guess, the people directly involved, WSP, so their schedule is attached, and I spoke to that, the Gantt chart and the critical path. Multi-year capital works, the 2022-2024 multi-year capital works road project is due to start in the spring. During the work, the consultants submitted a change order for, based on hydrology, they need to upsize some of the culverts, or at least one of the culverts. So there's a motion there to approve change order 001 for project 17 MYCW 22-00069 Torbay Roads project in the amount of $2,942.85, HST included. This change order is in relation to extra